Well, hello and welcome. I am Yasmin West. I am here with my husband, Robert West, on behalf of Radio Bob. We have a very special interview for you with Patrick he has a water structuring company, and we're going to dive into everything about that and all the fun stuff that comes with that, what it actually means as opposed to water filtration. But what I really want to focus on today is his background and his transition on how water affected him personally. So, he has a background where, he was very much into the corporate world, kind of lost himself and all that hustle and grind of making money and becoming successful, as many of us do, and let water take him on a journey away from that and to lead a much more purposeful life and create a gorgeous company that is doing wonderful things for people. So, with that, welcome, Patrick. Say hello, and we'll dive into it.
Thanks, Yasmin. I'm just realizing my mic is over behind my computer. Let me get it up nice and close.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. We're
Yeah,
good.
much better.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about
You.
so tell us a little bit about you and introduce yourself, and maybe if you can think of a pivotal point in your life where you realized, hey, I'm kind of on the wrong path here and I'm gonna make a change.
That's an easy one. I made $1 million in the year I turned 30. I won the American dream. Everything I'd been pursuing and competition and money, was fulfilled. And I woke up every day with fear in my heart. Every single day I thought, I'm not enough, I'm not doing this right. I wanted more for myself. I had protection and competition as my primary energies. And I knew I just peaked. It was like starting as a surfer and going and riding a 70-foot wave and landing it. And I was like, if you don't get out of this business right now, it's always going to be a smaller wave than this one. And so I knew that, but I didn't leave. I milked it to the bitter end. And actually, 8 years, 8 years later, actually it was 10 years. It took a minute to get the timeline. My career as a financial advisor ended in an ambulance. I had so
Oh,
much pain in my kidneys in the middle of the night, 1:30 in the morning. I called an ambulance and I went to the hospital to find out why my kidneys hurt so much. And the doctor told me, he's like, "You're really lucky." I was like, "Why am I lucky?" And he's like, "Because there's nothing really wrong with you other than stress has literally twisted you. And so you need to remake your life, but other than that, you're okay." So it was quite a transition out of that industry.
yeah. So what did that start to look for you as and I know people that would have gone through the exact situation and they wouldn't have made the change. They would just be bullheaded and keep going. So tell us a little bit about, that was your wake up call, and how did you start to transition into something else?
Yeah, well, I was definitely bullheaded. 11 days before the ambulance, one of my two financial advisor partners sat me down and he's like, "Dude, you're a mess and you need to take a leave of absence." And I was like, "No, I'm fine." Mostly inside, I need the money, right? And I was in great shape financially. I was just addicted to money. I'm not even a big spender. It's not my way. And so between his it was really love and support. It was really God giving me the hand of, "Hey, do you want to walk gently on the exit ramp here, or do you want to get thrashed around?" And I was like, "Oh, thrash me around." So after the ambulance, I was in pretty rough shape. I mean, I would say literally the pain of the stock market and my sudden like discord with the way it was going. I'd been amazing at what I did for 13 years, but now I was in conflict with what was really happening. And so my spine was literally twisted. And so what it looked like was at the starting point, yoga, um,
Okay.
couple hours of work a day. And, I had this deep passion. It's something that happened in my life. Um, if I trace it back to college, I would empty another beer and throw the can into that recycling bin. And I was like, where do those cans go? Like, what becomes of that material? And I followed that to become the head of the recycling committee in my town. And as the head of the recycling committee in my town, I led a project that put infrastructure all over town so we could give people comfort with recycling their single serve containers. And then I drove around town. It was a 2-year project. It took a lot of effort. And when I drove around town to look at it, I felt my heart break and I didn't understand it. It took about 3 to 4 months to understand it. And I went back into our committee and I said, we did the wrong project. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, we gave people a reason to feel good about a single serve container, and we didn't give them an alternative to never want one. I'm going to start a project to never want one. Who's with me? And it was only my hand up. So I took a piece of paper and I wrote, I resign, and I signed my name and I walked out. I was like, I'm out of here. And
I
so,
love it. A Jerry Maguire moment.
oh my God, I never thought of that. That's like my favorite movie. Thanks for putting that together. Yes, that was my Jerry Maguire moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so special. So I had this passion bubbling in me, and then I had this twisted body. And so it was really interesting how that transition happened. And I was really moody and aggressive, and like I had like a lot of issues going on, and a really dominant personality. And so I started to transition waters. Now, I'm not blaming reverse osmosis for my health in my 30s, but I will tell you it is coincident that as kind of a diva at work, I made my office manager get reverse osmosis for all of us. I had it at home and I had it at work. And I thought purity was like the thing that was going to set me free. So I made us all have the purest water. And during those 8 years that I had the RO in both places, that was my sickest. And so isn't that interesting? And then I started to transition waters. And one of the things I want to gift people is like part of my journey, because people don't know this, is your water election is not a permanent election. You change and you become a match with different waters. So alkaline water came knocking on my door, and with it, actually a business model in the network marketing industry. And I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to be out windsurfing every day. I'm going to sell 100 alkaline water machines every month, and life is going to be great. I don't have to be in finance anymore. Yeah, that's not really how it went. But the alkaline water, it was better than reverse osmosis for me. So while some people it's the be all and end all and they want to like talk about it for life, for me it was a stage that I only understood later. I had to learn through that stage for 2 years. So I expected 100 units a month and I sold 11 in a year. And I've never failed at selling anything in my life. I was like, oh my gosh, what is wrong here? And that's when I started to open to communication from life instead of the thoughts of my dominant mind.
Right.
That's when I started to get blown away that there's more to life when you allow than when you force. So, yeah, thanks for your question. It kind of brings me back to like what was the real driver of that? It was beginning to shift to allowing from force.
Yeah. I I work with a lot of energies and I've had my own water journey. It started very primitively, but after studying some of Dr. Emoto's work and the power of just putting energy and intention into your water can completely alter the structure. It really opened my eyes to a lot. And just something as simple as being by the ocean. I grew up on the coast. We now live inland. Um, but just being out in the salt air, with all that seawater, they've done studies where it's been proven to alter people's mood and bring people out of depressive states. And so I think so many of us just kind of take water for granted. We don't truly understand the true power of it. It's very receptive if you look at it from an energetic standpoint. And whatever you program into it, your intentions, um, your thoughts, it affects it. So I know a little bit about your company. I actually own one of your devices now. I'm so
We're looking
excited.
at it.
I'll throw this up for the viewers. And we'll get into talking all about that. But we are made of water, right? And this is something my husband always reminds me. We have so much water in our bodies, and with the current, it's kind of popular now, all this manifestation stuff. I mean, what if we're actually programming the water in our cells and the water's doing the work for us? And I know you've also kind of gone on a healing journey, and tell us a little bit about that and kind of how you view the water within you affecting you and your health and your mindset and all that.
Yeah. Hold that last part of the question for me because I want to go back to your journey that you call primitive. Like that is so not primitive. Like you told me a little bit before we went on air that you put some shungite chunks into your water, and then you learned that going around the beach and the ocean made you feel good. What you did is actually super advanced. You started to allow the wisdom that is within you to emerge and reveal itself to you. I would suggest you started the journey of understanding the energetics of water and you allowed your own guidance to show you the way. That's the most important thing we could ever talk about because that guidance is inside of every human being. And the problem is that our society is out there with like just all this noise, like drowning out the truth of who you are. Right?
Right.
So now I'm holding the other part of the question now. So when we talk about my health journey, I've been through stages where I focused on nutrition, right? Gluten free, all the things, no alcohol for 5 years. I mean, I really had to go after it because I had irritable bowel syndrome. I've
Mm.
focused on hydration. I've focused on exercise. I focused on the way I think. I've done all those things like really deeply and intensely. But it's not until we shift the alignment into the truth of who we are, then the vibrance starts to come through. The vibrance is beyond being gluten free. It's not gonna get this being there. It might for other people, but for me, that's just like little steps. So when you start allowing that intuition, so I went to a workshop in 2011. And at the end of the workshop, my homework was to talk to water. And I was like, come on, like, what are you talking about? I'm going to talk to water. And I like forgot about it. And then one day I'm like dealing with an emotion. So I'm going for a walk at the beach because I lived about 75 yards away from the beach during this season of my life that I was figuring all this out. And I'm walking along the beach and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to talk to water. So I take the thing that's like turmoil on my heart and I turn toward the ocean. I was like, okay, water, like, what are we going to do with this? And this wave breaks way out at the right and left. And the wave comes in and meets itself in the middle. It was a singular wave, but it met in the middle. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to take the middle ground, huh? And I laughed and I was like, okay, dialogue's on. But it's gone so far from them. So when I was trying to figure out structured water, there were these inventors who had manifested devices and they were like in some way like refined to being narrow in their consciousness because all they wanted to do was get the money from selling their device rather than just understanding like what's best for humanity. So I tried all the different devices, and sometimes when you're trying new things that nobody really understands, like there's no guidance, there's no mentor. And so I learned that there was this new thing. I'd be ready for bed. um, I guess I had a lot of turmoil in my heart there during these years. There was like a tension in me to understand, always. And so I would take my tension and be like, look, water, like I got to go to sleep. Like I cannot be in the tension of this. I need peace tonight. I need to restore my body. Still recovering from that financial advisor journey. So I'm going to lay this at your feet and I'm going to go to sleep now. And when I wake up in the morning, just make it really clear what the answer is. And I go to bed. I wake up in the morning and I'd be like fired up and inspired and clear about something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this works. Like I'm actually in a dialogue with water and water's clarifying things for me. So when we shift the context of who we are into a relationship of allowing God, creator, water, life force to flow through us without control, without domination, then we begin to get swept up on a magic carpet that takes us everywhere through life. And that's, to me, the most important part about healing. Like for my body to restore itself, it most wanted me to come into the alignment with who I am.
I'd like to explore some physical aspects for a couple of minutes for the benefit of people that either are not understanding what you're after with structured water or not understanding the relationship with water. So we're going to all agree, I assume, that since the moon affects the tides and the sun affects the tides, and we're 96% water, it's affecting us. We're going to assume that the pH level of the water we drink is also going to affect us. And people don't understand that water agencies try to produce something that's pretty reasonably neutral, 7.14 or whatever it is coming out of the pipe, right? But that may not necessarily be the best thing for you to absorb based on your living experience, your body conditions, the place that you're living, the air that you're breathing. If you're up against the ocean, you're taking in a lot of salinity in your water, so you have to remove that salt. So I assume that your device and your intentions are working on those. Most people don't understand that that salinity affects the electrical processes within water and the transmission of energy, which means the more salt you have, the transmission is different. The less salt you have, the transition is different. And so I imagine that in your structuring device, you've kind of looked at that and said that this is like a 98% gift to most people, right? Because there's always going to be that group that just, if something doesn't work for them. So can you explain kind of that so to people in a little bit more physical terms what you mean by structure and not just intent, right? Because we're putting it through a device. So we're looking for a physical change, right? Or a,
Yeah, that's great,
yeah.
Bob. So let's help by people understanding where they already think about water, because that'll help them understand what the new concept is. So the way people already think about water, and I learned this when my voice got carried around the world in 2013, and the phone rang with all these different dialects, ages, genders from all over the world. And after thousands of the conversations, I realized where most people are when they show up to meet me is they have a question about removal of some toxin from water. I actually came to understand that that conversation's been engineered into us. It is a entire industry that creates the way we think. It's just amazing. I was dumbfounded by it. And so people's basic orientation to understanding water is chemistry based, that there's physical removal, and that physical removal moves me toward purity, and purity makes me safe. Are you with me?
Mhm.
Right? That's where they are. So imagine my surprise when I just wanted to sell filters and have replacement parts and be windsurfing and get money, right? That's what I wanted for myself. And life's like, no, Patrick, you don't have it yet. And I was like, okay. So this guy comes along and he introduces me to a structured water device. And he teaches me, you pour water through this thing, it's more of a shape than a media. It doesn't remove anything. It reminds water what water is like in nature. There's no replacement parts and maintenance, so it solves people's problem. I ran away from it for 6 months. I was like, what am I going to do selling a device that doesn't have any recurring revenue? That's not good for me.
Right.
Right. And so, a really interesting story for me as a background in my business is 4 times I've gone into private labeling water filters and I've lost money every time. And that's not that easy to do. And so life was showing me, dude, you're not going to be the water filter guy. And I was like, fighting it, just like leaving my career. Right. So I finally got this structured water device reluctantly. I was like, I was already set on my alkaline water. I was really sure about it. So I got this structured water device and it was made of plastic. It had these really cool spheres inside that came together to form an icosahedron and a dodecahedron, which are sacred geometry shapes. And I didn't understand it at all. In fact, in 2015, somebody heard me interviewed. This is 3 years into being interviewed. And she contacted me and she said, honey, you have such a good heart, but you have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, okay, like teach me, like show me the way. So
Right.
what we need to know is that there's this concept of resonance. There's this concept of carrying an energetic. So when we put a salt lamp in our home, we get a little bit of the resonance of nature in us. When we breathe deeply in a yoga practice, we activate that resonance inside of us. There's this quiet but strong and powerful, subtle energetic of nature that is driving life. And we've been tuned to look anywhere other than that. So 13 years into this thing, since my voice first got carried around the world, what I would tell you is that the chemistry-based choice that your mind wants to make for a filter or no filter, that's a secondary consideration. The first question is, what do you choose for the energetics of your water? And if you are not making an active choice about that, then you have passively chosen 5G. So everybody who's listening right now, who is unwittingly participating in being disoriented from their water, is making a passive choice to have a chaotic energy in their water. So
Yeah.
what we want to do is we want to surface this dialogue that there's an energetic of my water on the midline. On the left, I will choose that it's chaos, and on the right, I will choose that it's harmony. This is why I love Yasmin's journey and would never call it primitive, because what she did was through her own intuition, she grabbed shungite and put it in her water. That's an amazing thing to allow yourself to do. And that's the spectrum I'm here to wake people up to. I'm not here to tell you where to go on the spectrum. I'm here to have you begin to investigate the energetics of water from your own intuition and your own knowing. So in the realm of chaos, we have all the toxicity of our industrial world that's spewing chemicals and toxins everywhere. We have depletion processes like reverse osmosis, filtration. We have anger and like people who are like walking around like I was in my early 30s and like transmitting a massive vibration into water. We have chaotic sounds and we have awful things in the media and our televisions and all the things. And then we have these carrier waves like 5G. All of that is chaos. I even get like a little riled up while I'm talking about it.
No, that's so understandable when you talk about 5G. And just
Yeah.
as a side note, most people don't understand that all the new additions to the buildings downtown where they work in Detroit, New York, and everywhere else, those are all to cover up Wi-Fi signals coming off of those buildings because they can't penetrate inside half the time. And
Well,
so we've overloaded our environment with Wi-Fi towers trying to penetrate all these buildings, and there are signals going everywhere. I work underneath a 5G tower where I work. You're going to find out more about where I work in a few minutes, but it's a danger. And when you talk about the acceptance of these dangers, we do the same thing with our landfills. We accept this danger, With our oil tankers moving across the planet, we accept this danger. We accept these things, and what happens is we accept the first five, and somebody comes along and goes, "Oh, well, this is a little dangerous too," and we go, "Ah, it's not as dangerous as that," and so we accept that too.
We do. We do. Do you remember back to when we had 3G as our Wi-Fi? I remember it because my phone and my computer worked just fine. I wasn't longing for anything. There was no upgrade that I was looking for in my life. And so if you look at what happened during COVID, during the 2020, start of that season, they went out and put these 5G towers everywhere. Why? We didn't need more connectivity in our internet. So there's something else happening with, and you say it's ubiquitous, right? It's like every corner they're jamming it into.
Yeah.
I don't need that to live a healthy life or to be connected in society. So why is it being pushed on me? Right? And so now water is a medium that is responsive to every technology, every wave. I mean, from Dr. Emoto's work, we learned that just taping a word love on a bottle or shunning some water with some rice in it over time has tremendous effects on what happens with that water. Like we saw it in the images. That's why Dr. Emoto is so amazing. And if you're not familiar yet, um, there's a new person, Veda Austin, who is taking Dr. Emoto's work to the next level. She's so adorable. And, she tells these stories. She's really in a dance of communication with water and showing us what that looks like. And one of my favorite stories is she's in a cafe and she's witnessing a schnauzer drinking out of a water bowl. And she says to herself, "Oh, I wonder." And so she takes a drop of the water bowl and she takes it home and puts it through her freezing process and she pulls it out of the freezer. And what does water show her? A schnauzer,
Oh, that's
right?
so precious.
It's so precious. She's so adorable. Veda Austin's work is amazing. She takes a sunflower seed and puts it in water and freezes it. And what does the water show her? A sunflower.
Wow.
The potential of the seed, not the seed, the potential of the seed. So we've got this dialogue going in water, and they're pumping all these carrier waves all over the planet. That's a distortion of the natural energetics of the human body.
Yeah.
So your function of your device is you're not suggesting to the planet we're going to change all our treatment processes at the moment because that would be too hard and too difficult to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get what I'm receiving out of the tap and I'm going to structure it through this device. I'm going to change its path. I'm going to run it across these different elements in these different configurations. And then when it comes out, this is going to be my daily water intake to improve my body. Now, I may not be able to change the water in the restaurant or the water in my peppers that I buy from the farmer's market, but at least I can affect that gallon or two I'm supposed to be drinking every day to stay hydrated. So is that the purpose of the device, right? That's the handheld. We're going from this item into the item that I'm going to take, and then I can use, as Yasmin or you might suggest, my intentions and other paths to change the water to make it better for me.
Yeah, at a really top level, that's the perfect thing, and that's a great communication for people. And I love to take things a little bit deeper. Well, what I want to do is I want to create right relationship between the species, human beings, and our water, right? And so we don't have the power to control corporations and governments and to shift things the way we would if we were in control. So it starts by having honor for what is. So what is in the developed world, we have built an extraordinary infrastructure that allows us to flip a faucet and pull water out. Let's give thanks for that. Let's start right there. So the first thing is we've made water available, and that's amazing. Now, the second thing is, since the agenda that holds that water in long straight pipes and dishonors water as it really is has no interest in my highest and best function, let's take empowerment onto ourselves and let's realize that the quality of our thoughts and the quality of our actions toward that water dictate the quality of our life. They are essential for the quality of our life. So when we talk about this device that has evolved from 13 years of my life, the last stage of evolving this was amassing a task force of people who were all volunteers, by the way, who love water and love people, and they all measure subtle energies. And we had a 14-month discussion about every assumption about how we make these devices, and then we measured the impact of changes. And so over time, we upgraded the quality of the copper that we use. We changed through multiple crystal suppliers until we could find a supply from Brazil that is actually a really great crystal for the way it resonates with water. We built a tool to cut the crystals to be within 1/10 of 1 millimeter of what we need it to be, because mathematics matter in creating resonance with water. And then we worked for 4 years on the coating on the outside, which carries 90 trace minerals in it. It's not a paint or a lacquer or something. It's something that the minerals themselves adhere to the copper on their own. And then when the device comes out of manufacturing now, we have a very, very consistent process, but still every device is alive because of the way the minerals adhere to it. You'll never find two aqua energizers that look the same. And so we hand measure each and every device, and then we find the balance point on that device. And that's where we apply our logo, which is more sacred geometry to make everything work right, such that we get this balanced unit. And then finally, we've just finished creating a stand that the device lives on in between uses. And the stand is more sacred geometry. And we do that to make sure that the crystals don't get impregnated with 5G and other toxicity, and that the people are actually living with the vibration of nature in their lives ongoingly, permanently. Like, that's my goal, right? Is, if I'm not going to have a business with replacement parts and maintenance, I may as well have a business that the device lasts forever, right? It may as well like really be great. And so I want people to have that vibration. So through that whole journey, who water taught me to be for us is that I have a dream of loving unity. I have a dream that you and I know who each other are, like for real, and that we really love each other. And so everything that I do as a leader in this development is such that the device carries the vibration of loving unity and nature to you, so you know the truth of who you are.
So I'll give a background up here. I'd like to give you a little bit of background and some understanding about some things that we do here and have been involved with for the past 25 years, and then get your take on the end of that statement, because it might prove interesting. So one of my previous careers was 35 years on the water as a tugboat skipper and a instructor of young people, young adults, in preparation for going into the military. So I spent an inordinate amount of time on the water, probably as much as you have, if not more, 10,000 hours behind the wheel of a tugboat. So a lot of time. It led me into a career of waste remediation and wastewater and water on an industrial scale. So I currently work for the city of Roseville. I am a water treatment plant maintenance worker, not an operator. Been doing that for 4 years, 13 years in the waste system at Roseville as well. And then prior to that, I was in waste remediation and waste to energy for 9.5 years for a worldwide company. So I spent every day working on filtration systems, reverse osmosis, filter presses, centrifuges, and all these other ideas. And the only conclusion I came to was that we're not managing our waste, that we're going way over here to look for energy, and we're throwing our energy out in our garbage can every day. So much like you with your water bottles, I couldn't stand it. And so I started looking at waste to energy. So my idea is, if we're going to make a water bottle and we can't recycle it, let's give it some caloric value. Let's put it through the gasifier in a zero emission unit. And now we'll have all the power we want for our data centers, and we won't have landfills. So we remove 70% of the waste on our planet by going to these systems. That some people say, oh, that's hope and dreams, but it works. Doesn't mean it's perfect. So when we do water at my job, we try to provide as best of a product as we're allowed to provide. Everybody I work with would prefer there was no fluoride in water. Everybody I work with at my plant would prefer that. We would love to do things differently. Unfortunately, it's really hard to convince the rest of governmental society that this is wrong, and it's taken us 5 years of studies to get rid of it. I'd love to wipe it out tomorrow, but I can't. So there's some things that I have to deal with. Um, but with the waste to energy and what you're talking about is a further return to a better environment for everybody and a better way to connect with that environment. Is that kind of your hope and dream from all this, right?
Thanks for sharing, Bob. Back when I was forming this business, I would look up in the sky and I would see the chemtrail planes dropping chemicals on my bald head in my garden. And I was like, what is this world? Like, how do I bring those planes down out of that sky? Now, I'm obviously not going to build a military, so there has to be another way. And I do have an answer. My answer is through the heart of the pilot. If they can't get anybody to follow that order, then they can't fly the plane. And so if one day that person follows their intuition, again, like Yasmin did when she started with the shungite, and she follows all the way into her natural relationship with water. We talk about a little bit in this conversation about water doing the work for us.
Yeah.
Imagine that water awakens the people to the point that we have enough unity that even though you're facing those horrible government restrictions to causing such obvious change, that so many of us stand together. I'm locking arms with the person next to me right now, right? We're locked in love, that we go to those people with that power and they say no, and we say no. No, we're not doing it your way anymore. I don't care if there's a perception that we have a government and that we have power and that you think you have it and that somehow this world has been organized to run through your power. The power of the people through loving unity says, no, not anymore. So back when I was a stockbroker, I learned about plasma gasification and how we could take waste and turn it into energy. And I was like, come on, like, are you kidding me? Like, this is so obvious. What a resource.
Right. We're worried about data centers, and we can put these underneath the data center on every block in Detroit in the same building. Right? Right.
It's
We get
easy.
energy and products out of it. Right.
We are intentionally separated as beings. We are
Yeah.
caused to think that we are separate. We are intentionally led in a world that is wasteful. Nature is extraordinarily harmonious. If we would just stop choking her to death and actually work with her, she gives us all the processes we need. So the issues with energy aren't about discoveries, or you say it's like not perfectly workable, but it's really good. It's not about that. It's about
Right.
there being a will for corporate profits and a will for controlling things from a top that are not what the people want. It is not what they want. One of the things that's happened to me in this second career is I've realized that people are lovely. Human beings want great things for one another. They want to be kind. They want to honor. They want to help. It's what we want. You just watch a natural disaster. Like you watch a tsunami hit some islands 7,000 miles from here, and you watch some people like cry. You watch some people like go into action and start collecting things and sending them to them. We don't even know those people. We have no idea about those people's lives. And we like mobilize and like send aid from us, from the real people, right? It's when it gets bastardized is when it goes through the governmental organizations and the corporations. But if you allowed the human will to caretake this planet and you took advantage of the types of awarenesses that you've developed through your 35 years on the sea and watching water and seeing your coworkers say, I don't want fluoride in my community's water.
Yeah. It took 8 years to get the approval for our fluoride removal study. And if we get it, we can affect California. And that's at our plan. But it's like you said, it took people standing up to throw the switch, engineers, operators, maintenance guys, everybody. And then you have to, because you're a government, you're affecting everybody's daily life. You know, people don't really think about their water system. Every day where I work, I have two choices. I either A, help provide water that people can do something with to survive with, or B, put a product down which could kill millions of people.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where I start my day.
So God bless you for being inside of the system and be willing to have your heart turned on and your being alive while in the system. I do not have that. So I honor you for having that. I have no interest in fighting that fight. So what I do, what I realize is like my role, like we're each cut as this extraordinary piece of a jigsaw puzzle by our creator. And so mine is to help your heart be filled with living water and to have an honor and a sacredness for life. Once you've got that, I got nothing to say about what you do because I don't know how to be a different jigsaw puzzle piece than I am.
Right. We're supposed to fit where we're supposed to fit. I know that with the waste energy game, I mean, we've got a whole page donated to it on our website because I've been so into it. And I talk about it all the time, but I understand it's a fight. But, you know, so I've been at this fight for 18 years, and we're getting to the point now where we're talking to an engineer about a cookie cutter program to put underneath the data centers and having the garbage companies build them, not the energy companies build them. Because the garbage guys are the ones that they're worried about losing the money. So like you, even though I can affect some things, I can look at presenting some options that might help affect some others. And so we'll do that. And then you were talking about water in a disaster. We just recently partnered up with a nonprofit who provides a bucket filtration system that's designed for individuals so that in emergencies and things of this nature, when our water system is completely off, which by the way, for those people listening, they don't understand, the LA fires, the water system was done in less than 15 minutes in Palisades. It was offline. And the Camp Fire in Paradise, California, the water system was done in the first 4 minutes of the fire because the generators were swallowing so much bad air that they literally fried in place and there was no water system. So what happens after fires and events like that between the day it happens and the generators get back online? This guy developed a system to take water and make it potable on an individual scale with something you could almost carry in your pocket. All you need is a bucket. What you're doing, it sounds like, is okay, great. You've got something you can drink. It's not really ready for you, no matter where it comes from. But once we've restructured it and give it some intent and give it that love that you're talking about, now it's going in me. I'm feeling better. I'm getting up in the morning going, I can do this now. I don't feel blasé because I'm covered in alkaline. I don't feel, you know what I mean? And we understand, you and I understand that. The trick is, how do you get everybody else to understand it? So can you give us your 3-line explanation just one more time to make it easy for people to understand your structural water device?
Sure. Structured water devices address the energetics of water, and they can, like the Aqua Energizer does, restore the resonance of nature. And when we restore the resonance of nature to that which we are, which is we are water, we start to bring through the original blueprint of who we are as beings, and it bypasses all the mental stuff and all the stuff we learned in school and all the fights we have with the governments and the corporations. So the reason I do this with my life, right? I have a life force I can put in on anything. This is the single thing that I know of that is most likely to activate other human beings to be their authentic self beyond all the limitations that they know. And when we can band together as those people, we will stop the shenanigans on this planet.
Wow.
Perfect.
That
That's what we were
that
looking
is a
for.
that is a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
We're not gonna
I
get into those things.
I want you to go ahead and just tell people about your where they can find you, your website. I can personally attest. I purchased a handheld structuring device. As soon as I got it out of the box, I just felt this surge of energy hit my hand.
I promise not to rip it apart.
That's funny. You know, people think they can reverse engineer what I do. Look, we don't have any patents. There's no reason to, because the process that we go through is about energetics, and it is the system of energetics. If I patent this, then I just tell everybody else how to make it. I'm not
Right.
in, I'm not interested in that, and I'll just keep making it the best that I can. So we are the Wellness Enterprise. We're on thewellnessenterprise.com. We call ourselves the company that loves you. We used to call ourselves the Structured Water Superstore, but we realized a higher calling, and we call it sacred commerce. It is a gift to be able to do business with the public and to have people trust us with their money. There's so many tools and there's so many preachers out there talking nonsense. And we are a company that picks up the phone, responds to emails, addresses the few issues that come up if somebody doesn't know the benefits that they're having. We love our customers, and so we hang with them. And so, come give us a try. And we changed our shipping policy last year when we perfected the Aqua Energizer. And what we said is, if you don't love our product, we'll pay for the shipping both ways. Like, we know you're going to love our product, and we only get a handful of returns a year, so it doesn't cost us anything to do that. So give us a try and see if we can help you be the authentic you. That's what we're here for. That's why we do what we do.
Well, thank you so much. But you want to say something
Yeah,
more?
absolutely. So I'd like to switch gears for a minute, if I can, and get 5 minutes on another subject. So you had this life-changing experience, and before that, you were obviously hooked into water somehow because you have mentioned Hawaii, waves, windsurfing, right? So you're an adventurer of some type, and understand that our radio station uses stories of adventure, stories of people that windsurf or hike or whatever it is to discuss how they achieve a mental ground state of happiness and things of that. We play those for people in the hopes that they will hear that and maybe get out and go windsurfing or get out and go surfing or get out and go backpacking or biking, but get out in the universe. So you went through this drastic change. Were you a surfer before that or windsurfer before that? Or is that a passion, a love, or is it just a passing flame?
Yeah, that's a good pickup on your part. So I actually won like enough trophies when I was 9 sailing to get pictured in the local paper. So I've been out on the water always. And as you bring up this topic, like what surges through me is I'll tell it a little bit different way. I went to a very intuitive healer when I was 30, and she told me to go into nature. And I was like, huh? I was like, what do you mean? You want me to like go sit on a rock? I was like, I was such a knucklehead. And I went and sat on a rock, and now that I have like the perspective of what she was really teaching me, and I have like 56 years of life experience, I would tell you, Bob, that my adventure, what has connected the whole theme all the way through, is that I've always gone into nature. I just didn't realize the value of it and how to talk about it back then that I do now. And so, I've been windsurfing on March 9th in Boston Harbor, it was 37 degrees, and I almost didn't get back. I've been in nor'easter storms on the East Coast. In 2006, jumped a 10-foot wave in Hawaii and became completely separated from all my gear flying in the air. And I came down and landed on my sail and started laughing the biggest cackle, like I did it. I jumped a 10-foot wave in Hawaii. But it's the underlying energetics of being in nature that creates the spirit of adventure in me. See, what people don't know is that they're in these modern homes and these modern jobs, and they sit at desks and they consume chemicals and they watch toxicity and they take in blue light, and they say, I'm fine, I'm okay. And they take a daily pharmaceutical, and they take this and they take that, and they're like, I'm good. I think one of the things that absolutely has like uncorked me in the last 2 years is that living on Maui, I have started to secure about 80% of what I eat directly from the island without a store being involved.
Mm.
And so I primarily eat 5 foods. It's really, really simple. And it's all wild. And so as I think about how wild and strong I'm becoming, I'm like, look at what you put in and look at what you're getting out. And so if you're playing stories to people to like help them find adventure, go rewild yourself. Let the vibration of you be the natural vibration your creator gave you. And it's getting harder and harder to find on this world. So, when I go into Phoenix as an example, like I was driving through Phoenix and I was like, there is concrete everywhere and there is Wi-Fi everywhere. And I'm like, I don't know how many hours I can do in this town. And I'm like, dude, it's only 2 hours to Sedona. Like, go north,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's
So
like
no,
I
it's
get
worth
this,
it.
right?
Yeah.
And so I get to Sedona and I start hiking in these vortexes, and I have these crazy epiphanies and awarenesses and understandings about the way life works. So this world has like paved, right? I forget the song, but like they gave us paradise and we made it a parking lot. Like
Yeah.
we've paved this world so that water can't even seep into the ground in some areas. And then we get these floods and all this stuff. And the issue is we've separated from nature. So please, everybody, just go back to nature and re-find you, the authentic you. And it takes time because the energetics of building in nature are slower and steady, but they win the race. And so one of my favorite Instagram videos that I have on my channel is called Better is Better. So if you have an experience and you go out into nature, hopefully with bare feet on grass or good healthy dirt, and you like touch it, feel it, swim in the water, go in a waterfall, do all the things, and you feel better, to me, that's what good health is made of, is you stack a better experience and then you put another one with it, and then you put another one with it, and then you put another one with it. And before you know it, you have better is better. I feel better. I just stacked better experiences.
It's awesome. Thank you very much. We definitely search for those and try to integrate into those communities. So we've just launched a surf academy show from out of the United Kingdom that will be playing regularly on our station, and we'll be doing tips and tricks for people who do surfing and how to stay physically connected and how to stay physically safe so they can enjoy it well into their 60s. We're always looking for people to share how they prepare for their journeys, windsurfing, kite surfing, skateboarders, whatever, Tony Hawk types. And to get to know people like that, to supply stories of adventure and stuff like that. Because when people hear a celebrity, Joe Rogan talk about bicycling, they're like, yeah, whatever, okay, dude. But when they hear the common person talk about it, and then they hear another common person talk about another aspect, they start thinking to themselves, I don't need money to do this. All I need to do is get up off my, go outside and do it.
Yeah, during
I can
2020,
say ass, but I just didn't in that case.
during 2020, Maui was really shut down, and I was traveling here. And so there's an amazing state park, and I went up into it, and there was nobody there. It was locked at the gate, and so once I got over that gate, it became mine. There were no restrictions, and usually the public is restricted to the like parking lot and the fenced area around the parking lot. And I was like, no way, man, I'm going. And so I went up through these trails, and I went way, 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 way into the woods, and I found this Suriname cherry tree. Suriname cherries are really special. They're not like regular like Bing cherries or whatever. because they have a very, very soft skin. So you'll never find them in the supermarket because they just won't make it from
Yeah,
that
they
tree
won't make the trip.
into the supermarket. And I befriended this tree, and I saw the tree in 2020, and then I came back and saw it in 2022, and then I saw it in 2023. And then in 2024, there was a kukui tree that was growing over the Suriname cherry tree. And prior to that date, she'd never given me more than 11 cherries on a visit. And she was starting to get sick. And so I went to Home Depot and I bought a saw, and I I turned the kukui tree into a bench right next to it so that I could like honor this tree with my love. And I know some people might criticize me for it. It's all good. And there's just so many kukui trees, and there's one Suriname cherry tree in this forest. And so I made it into a bench, and I would go and sit there. And the next time I went back, she gave me over 40 cherries.
There you
And
go.
I was like, and
Thank
so
you.
it develops a communion. Like I know, I mean, I've told that story before, and people are like, well, what right do you have to cut that tree down? And I'm like, well, I just knew that like my power as a creator was invited to take that action. And so as I go back now to that same place, that little kukui tree, it had about a 5-inch base to it. It doesn't look like anything. Like it's just on its way to becoming dirt. And that Suriname cherry tree is just regal and majestic and just stretching into the earth and providing cherries to people who know what they're walking by. And so we start to get this relationship with nature. And I truly go and like sit with that tree and feel fulfilled.
That's
That's
beautiful.
cool. Well, we really appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to close this thing?
Yeah, go ahead and close it out.
Okay, well, we've been talking with
Patrick.
Patrick, and thank you very much for all that you've given us today, and we hope to talk to you in the future. And I know Yasmin's planning to email with you. We encourage you to look at our site and see what we're trying to do with the planet in as much as we can, and the others that we've aligned with, and we'll probably get your structuring device linked onto our resources page so that people can find you. Give you a small blurb on the website for a while. Probably take some of your windsurfing stuff there and the other outdoor stuff and put those onto little short videos with either our AI cats or something like that. Let people hear them and turn some of those into audio shorts. So know that you have the potential of affecting many lives that you've never met and will never know. But we here at our station appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate
are
it.
grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah, when we come together, we are everything. We are the solution we've been waiting for. The future of humanity is in us, and when we have conversations like this that matter, we shift our future. So thank you for what you're doing. It's really special, and thank you for bringing out this aspect of me because I've never talked this way or been in this situation or woven together all the topics we had today. That happened because of you guys.
Good.
Thanks for the
Good.
opportunity.
That's awesome.
All right. Well,
I love to hear that as an interviewer.
yeah, we're not exactly the normal people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super supportive. Like you let me be my whole self.
Yeah.
And God made this whole self to combine with your whole selves to be a vibration of authenticity that reaches out in the world and touches people because that's what our creator is, right? Is that beautiful feeling in life. So we did it this last hour. We fulfilled our mission on earth for an hour.
All right.
Right. So now you get to get up and make breakfast.
Indeed. Indeed.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well,
Thank
have a
you.
terrific day. Okay. Enjoy the waves if you get out there. We're going to be in rain for the next 10 days.
Well, not all bad.
Not all bad. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, it's good to have that time of year too. But yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Sure.
Okay.